Okay, in this video, I am going to demonstrate how we install our very first virtual machine into our newly installed VirtualBox. Or maybe your VirtualBox is not newly installed, you've had it a while, but you want a refresher on how to install a virtual machine. So in this tutorial, we are going to install Windows 2000 Professional, and I'm going to show you where to get it and how to install it. And so let's get started. So let's go to our browser. We need to get a file to start with. And we're going to go to a website called winworldpc.com. winworldpc.com. And hit enter. And that will take you to this particular site, which is WinWorld. And you can see up here at the top, you have some shortcuts. So we want to go to the library here at winworldpc.com. So click library. And now you'll be looking at some software. And your software is categorized by OS, application, game, dev tool, which is development tool, or system. So right now it's defaulted to OS for operating system, and that just so happens to be where we want to be. But just to show you, we can click on application, and this begins to list all the applications that they have in alphabetical order. Games, you can come back here and you can get some games. And all of these are old, by the way. So everything you're going to find here is old legacy software that hasn't been around in years, at least these versions. Development tools or developer tools, you'll see those here. All kinds of antique software. And then finally, system. And some more software here that falls under the system category. So let's go back to OS, because we're going to grab an old classic operating system from Windows, which is called Windows 2000. So you can see the operating systems are categorized. You have DOS and CP/M, so you can find the old DOS versions here. Windows, these are all the older Windows versions, old Mac versions, and old OS2 versions. So we want to get Windows 2000. So that's listed here, Windows 2000. You can see they don't even have Windows XP here, so everything here is at least 20 years old. So click on Windows 2000. All right, so it gives you some information about the software. It was obviously developed by Microsoft, and it came in some different versions. Beta versions, RC1, which stands for Release Candidate, and RC2, and then some patches, and then the final version. So obviously we're going to get the final version, and the final version of Windows 2000 was version 5.0.2195. Not that you need to know that. And if you scroll on down, you're going to find all of the different versions of Windows 2000 that you can download. And so you just have to be a little careful that we find the right one. We're going to get Windows 2000 Professional with Service Pack 4 Retail. There it is. Windows 2000 Professional with SP4 Retail. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and that takes me to this page. And it says that there are 2 mirror servers that I can download to download this file. There's some information about the file that we're downloading. And I usually just pick the first one here. This one's in the United States. The other link is in Germany. So I'm just going to hit Julian. When I click on that, you can see that now I have a file that's downloading. And it is about 320 megabytes. So it's not a huge file, but it's big. Now let's go back. Just hit the back button. We want to go back to that page we were just looking at all the versions and scroll up. We are going to need the product key for Windows 2000. And so over here on the right, so I'm going back up to the top here. So over on the right, if you scroll down, it shows you some serial numbers, or actually they're product keys. They're not serial numbers. And they list some product keys that should work depending on which version you download. I have been successful using this very first one for Service Pack 4. Notice there are some others listed here. So just highlight that and copy that, or just leave this open so we can come back and get that later. Either way, what I do is I normally copy this, or I select it like I just did. So I select it, click and hold, and then drag, and I highlight just the product key. The product key is going to be 5 groupings of 5 alphanumeric characters. So a group of 5, another group of 5, group of 5, group of 5, group of 5. So it's 5 5s. And then what I'll do is I'll right click on the blue and I'll hit copy. Okay. And then we're going to leave this open. Now I'm just going to minimize my browser, and I'm going to go to my downloads folder, and we should see the file that I just downloaded. And there it is, Microsoft Windows 2000 Professional 5.0.2195. And this is including Service Pack 4. And it says the file extension is 7Z. So this is a 7Z file. Now, for those of you that don't know, that is a zip file, a special kind of zip file. And you may have a computer that might open up that zip file automatically. If you do, no problem. Now, what I normally do here is I'll right click and see, I have the 7-zip program, and then I'll go to extract to, and what this does is extract to Microsoft Windows 2000 Professional, blah, 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 and it'll create a folder with the same name as that file. And watch, I'll show you what happens. Whoops. So just select the file, right click on my 7-zip. I'm going to say extract to, and then I extract. And now it's extracting. Now, if you don't have 7-zip, just Google. You can Google 7-zip, and it's a program that you can download and install. And you install it just like you did VirtualBox. Just go and download the 7-zip utility. It's free. And then it'll allow you to easily open 7-zip files just like I just did. Some of you will have that capability built right into Windows, and you don't need anything. But like I said, try to open it up first. When you right click, some of you are going to have an extract option here on your menu. I don't, because 7-zip has replaced that. But you may, and if yours will extract, then you're fine. Now, notice that it's now created a folder that is the exact same name of that zip file. So let's double click on the folder, and you'll find that inside there is an ISO file. You can see that there. And then there's a text file called winworldpc.com. Don't worry about the text file. But we're interested in this file here. Notice it is 377 megabytes, or about 378 megabytes in size. That is the entire operating system, saved as an image of an installation disk. So back when Windows 2000 was around, it came on a CD as an installation CD that you would have to take the CD and put it in your CD drive in the computer, and then you would boot the computer up, boot from the CD, and install Windows on your brand new computer or the computer you just built. So here we have an image, which basically is taking all the data that was on that installation CD and saving it as what's called an ISO file. It's one single file. Okay, so now that we know where this is, it's very important that we know where this is located. It's in my downloads folder, in a folder called Microsoft Windows 2000 Professional. See that? And then here is the ISO file called EN Win2000 Pro SP4. That means it's this is the English version of Windows 2000 Professional Service Pack 4. Okay, so now that we know that, we're going to now we're going to create a new virtual machine in VirtualBox using the Windows 2000 installation image that we just saved and we just retrieved. So let's go and open up VirtualBox. And here it is. Now again, yours is going to look a little different from mine, very possibly. You're not going to have Windows 2000 showing there, and you're not going to have Windows 10 showing there. So it doesn't matter. Just ignore the ones that I've created. I'm going to create a new one from scratch. So up here on the little where the icons are, you got New, Settings, Discard, Start. If you have highlighted Tools, yours is going to look a little different. It'll say Preferences, Import, Export, New, and Add. So assuming that you don't have anything currently installed and you're highlighted on the Tools menu, just click New. We're going to create a new virtual machine. Now it says to name the new virtual machine that we're creating. You can call it anything you want, but it makes sense to call it Windows 2000 Professional SP4. I'm just going to change Professional to Pro so it's not so long. Windows 2000 Pro SP4. Now it's going to show you where it's going to install this machine, and you can leave it where it's wanting to put it. That would be the ideal place. So it will always put your virtual machines in the same location, and I can show you where that is at the end of this video or in the next video. Now next it says the type. Now assuming that you typed in the name of the operating system, VirtualBox is trying to guess what the type and version of the machine is that you're trying to create. In this case, it's done a really good job of coming up with the correct guess of what we're installing. We are installing a Microsoft Windows version, and we are installing Windows 2000. But if for some reason you typed in your class name, or you just came up with a different name of what the machine is, you would have to manually select these. So again, I'm going to leave it as Windows 2000 Pro SP4. I could have just went Win2000. Again, the name is not extremely important as long as you select the proper type and version. That's the big thing here. So I'm going to click Next. All right, so now it is asking me how much RAM do I want this new machine that I'm creating to have. And what you're usually looking at here is you're looking at a graph that is showing the very minimum amount of memory on the left, and at the right is normally showing the amount of memory you have in your computer. In this computer that I'm on, I have 4 gigs of memory. And that's the reason that is showing 4,096 megabytes. That's 4 gigs of memory. VirtualBox is saying, okay, you're installing Microsoft Windows 2000. We recommend that you have at least 168 megabytes. And as long as I select amount of memory in this green region, everything on my computer should work just fine. If I start selecting more memory than what VirtualBox recommends, or get into this yellow area, then we can experience some sluggish performance. And we definitely don't want to get into the red. That's allocating too much memory. Now you say, well, this is nothing. 168 megs is nothing compared to 4,000 megs. That is true. But you also have to realize that the older the operating system, the less the memory requirement. If we were installing Windows 10, VirtualBox would recommend that we use like 1,000 megabytes or 1 gig. So on a computer, if you only have 2 gigs in your computer, you can only use half the amount of memory that your computer has in your virtual machines. So if you have 2 gigs of total memory in your computer and you install a Windows 10 virtual machine, then you wouldn't be able to install another Windows 10 virtual machine. You wouldn't be able to create multiple virtual machines to run them at the same time. So anyway, I know that was a lot. Don't want to confuse you, not at least at this point. You know, I might do a video later on some more advanced things, but right now we're just trying to get a basic Windows 2000 operating system installed here. So what I am going to do is, since I have plenty of memory, is I'm going to go from 168 to 256. No, let's do 512. See right there? 512. So they're recommending 168. I'm going to use 512. You can always go over, and you see I'm still well below the yellow area. So we're good. No problem. So hit next. Now you got to create a virtual hard disk. You know, we're creating a machine here. It's like a computer that's going to be inside our computer. So it's got to have its own little hard drive, or its own virtual hard drive, which is basically a file that's going to sit on your hard drive that acts like a hard drive for this virtual machine. They're recommending the size of this drive to be 4 gigs. So I'm fine with that. So let's just hit create. Leave this where it is, hit next. Leave this alone, hit next. And here's where you can make a last minute change. They suggested 4 gigs. I said okay. At this point, if I want to make this virtual hard drive larger or smaller, I can. I can drag this to the right and it'll make the drive larger, or I can drag it to the left and it'll be smaller. I wouldn't go any smaller. But if you're planning to install a lot of software or things onto this virtual machine, you're going to need more space probably. But we're not. I'm not. So I'm just going to leave it where it is and hit create. Okay, so there it is. Now we've just I already had 2 machines here. I have just created a new one called Windows 2000 Pro SP4. Now, as of right now, the machine has been created in VirtualBox, but there's no Windows 2000 operating system that has been installed. In other words, this is like we have just built a new computer and it has nothing on it. The hard drive is blank. There's nothing in the computer. So it's now time to install the operating system that we are planning on installing. For our case, it's Windows 2000 Pro SP4. So make sure it's highlighted. See there? So Windows 2000 Pro SP4, that's the new one. And then click on Settings. And the only thing that we're going to have to change in settings is go to Storage. And this is where you're looking at the virtual storage devices that are on this brand new computer that we just built. One of them is a hard drive. There it is. It's a fake hard drive. It's a virtual hard drive. Remember the 4 gig hard drive that we told it to build? And there it is. So really what that is it's a file that sits on your computer, and this virtual machine is going to store stuff in that file because it's going to think that that file is a hard drive that has the size of 4 gigabytes. The other thing that's on this computer that we're building is a CD drive or a DVD drive, and it's currently empty. There's no disk or virtual disk that's sitting in that drive. Well, if you know anything about computers, when you build a computer and it's time to install an operating system on that computer, you've probably got an installation CD with you that you would put in the drive, and then you would boot the computer up, and then you would install that operating system that's on the disk. In our case, we don't have a real drive, but we do have an image of a disk that would go into a real drive if we had it. Remember that what we downloaded just a while ago from WinWorld? That was the image of the installation disk, and that's what we need. So let's come over here to the right, and now with the virtual drive highlighted, click on the icon over here that shows the disk icon. So click on that, and then we want to go down and choose a disk file. So click on choose a disk file. Now we want to go and find that file that we just downloaded. Remember, we downloaded the file and then we unzipped it. And when I unzipped it, it was in a folder. So I got to go into that folder, and there it is. EN Win2000 Pro SP4. That's what we saw a while ago. So all I got to do is just highlight that, click on it one time, and then hit open. And what that does is it attaches that image to our empty CD drive. So this is in a virtual world. In other words, we're doing pretend stuff, kinda. This is like taking that CD that has Windows 2000 on it, the Windows 2000 operating system, and putting it in the CD drive and getting ready to install it on our brand new computer. So once you see that here, just click OK. We're done. And now if you look under the different settings for this particular computer, this virtual machine, you will see that it has two drives. One of them is a hard drive called Windows 2000 Pro SP4.VDI. That means a virtual disk image. It's 4 gigs in size. And then we have an optical drive, a virtual optical drive, that has an image attached to it, which is like the CD sitting in the drive. Once you've done that, if you're seeing both of these, you can move on. If you're not seeing this, you have not done something correct up to this point. Something's not right. Because you should have that ISO image in the optical drive, and then the VirtualBox set this up. We didn't have to set that up. Remember we did that when we walked through creating the virtual machine. Okay, so now that if yours looks like this, you're good to go. And all we have to do now is start the machine. You can click start, or you can come over here and double click on the machine. And what that will do is it will power up the computer. Again, this is like a brand new computer that we just built. I'm going to double click on it. It's going to open up a new window. There we go. Now it's saying to select a virtual optical disk file or a physical optical drive containing a disk to start your new virtual machine from. So all you got to do is hit the down arrow here. And if you look, you should have the EN Windows 2000 Pro SP4. You should have that image as a selection here. Again, that's the ISO file that we unzipped from that 7-zip file earlier. So select it and then just hit start. I think if you don't see that, you can select it here. You can click on this browse and then you can go and find it like we just did. But either case, the goal is you want this virtual machine to start up looking for that ISO file. So let's hit start. This is the splash screen, and then boom, there we go. That's great news. So that is what Windows 2000 looks like when you first start to set it up. And you can see down at the bottom, it says setup is starting Windows 2000. Okay, so now we got some options. We got 3 options. To set up Windows 2000 now, press enter. To repair a Windows 2000 installation, press R. Or to quit, press F3. So we want to just simply hit enter. So I hit enter. This is the license agreement. You agree. You have really no choice. You can't escape. And then now this is showing the current hard drive for this computer. Remember, it's a virtual hard drive. It's not real, so you're not going to damage anything here. And you should be showing whatever size the hard drive was that we created in VirtualBox. Remember, it was 4 gig. So we're showing 4 gigs here. So all you have to do is hit enter. Now you can select what file system you want to format this drive. Do you want it to be NTFS or FAT? Let's leave it at NTFS. Hit enter. And now it's going to format that virtual hard drive just like it would if this was a real computer that we just built. So if you've never seen or if you've never installed Windows before, this is kind of the process. Let's say you've got a brand new computer, or you've got a computer where you've replaced the hard drive. The new hard drive is blank. So now we've taken a Windows installation disk, we've put it in the drive. We boot up the computer, and now we're installing the installation files that are on the CD, and they're installing to the new hard drive that's in the computer. Okay, so now it says that your computer will reboot in 10 seconds. You can hit enter and it'll go ahead and reboot, and you don't have to wait. Now, it's important at this point, when you get a message that pops up that says press any key to boot from CD, that you ignore it. Don't do anything. Just let it go, because you can get into a loop here if you're not cautious. If I'd have hit a key when I saw that a while ago, it would have started back over at the beginning. And that would be bad. You'd be here all day. So now Windows 2000 has, what it has done in that first phase is it's taking installation files from the disk and has copied it to the hard drive. Now it's going to run through a setup wizard. So all we got to do is hit, whoops, I guess I hit next. So all you got to do is click on next, and it's going to run through here, and then it's going to install. This will take a few minutes probably. Okay, well, a few minutes have gone by, and now we are at this screen, and you can just, unless you need to make a change here, you can just click next. And here you can put in your name. I'm just going to put student as my name and the organization for PCC. You can put in whatever you want here. It really doesn't matter. Then click next. And remember that product key I told you to get earlier from the WinWorldPC.com website? Here's where you put it. And let's see if I can paste it in here. I don't think it will work. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down the control key and hit V. Nope, doesn't work. So we're going to have to type that in. And what I do is I open up a blank notepad document or a text document on my desktop, and I named it Scratchpad. And look at there. I have it saved in there already, Windows 2000 Professional SP4, and there is that product key. So I want to type it in. Okay, now it's typed in. I'm going to hit next. Okay, looks good. Computer name, you can change that if you would like, or you can leave it to whatever it is. Now it's asking you to set an administrator password. I suggest admin, A-D-M-I-N. Then hit tab, A-D-M-I-N, all lowercase. Then hit next. Of course, obviously you can pick your own password. Just pick something easy that you can remember. You don't want to forget that one. The date and the time, I'm going to change the time zone to Eastern, where most of us are at, and then hit next. And now it's going to go through some more installation and a little bit more of a waiting game. So we're going to jump ahead here. All right, now we're looking at the typical settings for networking. You can just select next. No, this computer is not on a network, or it doesn't have a domain. Type of work group name in the following box. So you can leave that where it is and leave the work group set as work group. Hit next. Now we go through another little bit of waiting. All right, several minutes have gone by, and it's finally gone through its last phase of installing. And we've got to this screen that says completing the Windows 2000 setup wizard. You have successfully completed the Windows 2000 setup. If there is a CD in your drive, remove it. Then to restart your computer, click Finish. All right, so here is where we need to slide this window over and get back to our VirtualBox screen. Actually, I think we can do it from right here. So we can click on Devices. This is above our Windows 2000 desktop window here. So you should see File, Machine, View, Input, Devices, Help. So click on Devices and then go to Optical Drives. And there should be an option at the bottom of that little pop-up that says Remove Disk from Virtual Drive. So click that, and that should have removed the CD or that image of the CD from our virtual optical drive. So now we can click finish. So let's do that. So let's click finish, and it's going to reboot, and it should be starting up our new Windows 2000. And you may hear the boot up sound, the Windows 2000 little song or whatever, little tune that it played. I did not. I don't think so. Hadn't heard anything. All right, welcome to the network identification wizard. Click next. Do you want to have to enter your username and password every time you use this? Probably not. So I'm going to use the second option. The username was student. Remember, that's what I set up during the installation. Remember, the password was admin, unless you chose something different. Then click next, then hit finish. And there we have the sound. And the sound is now messed up. It's in a little bit of loop, but don't worry, we're going to fix that. So just ignore that. It'll go away. This is a little welcome screen. It was designed to walk people through getting acquainted with Windows 2000. You're welcome to go through this. I don't know that this is going to work. It may have looked to the internet to get some of the data, resources, but make sure you check this box. It says show this screen at startup. Uncheck it, and then click exit. Yeah, so make sure it's not checked. I'm sorry, I didn't want to be confusing there. Make sure it's not checked, and then click exit, and that gets rid of that. Also, this has got a balloon that's telling you that this is the start button, like you didn't know. Just click it and click it again. It'll get rid of that balloon, and it won't bug you. I don't think it'll bug you ever again. And now we're looking at the Windows 2000 desktop. And it's not as pretty as it should be, because now we have to install the Guest Edition CD. All right, so now we've got it installed, and this is what Windows 2000 looked like. So you can see here's my computer. We can look at the C drive, our documents and settings, blah, 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 blah. Here's your My Documents folder. There's your Pictures folder, and you can put your documents in here. There's your Recycle bin. There's Internet Explorer, and so forth. Some of this we won't need. We can get rid of, like this Connect to the Internet. You don't have to use that. You won't need it. But the very first thing that we need to do is we need to go to Devices, Insert Guest Editions CD Image. So click that. And then this will probably pop up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the operating system that you're doing. But if for some reason this doesn't pop up, all you got to do is go to My Computer, and then the Guest Editions CD should be in your CD drive, and it is. And so I could click on that and actually go in and start the disk manually. But thankfully this did come up. So we're just going to hit next. We're going to hit next. We're going to hit install. And this will finish. Oh, saying we got a digital signature problem. No problem. Yes, we want to continue. Yes, I want to continue. Yes, I want to continue. Now, we need to reboot. That's okay. Just hit finish and let it reboot. Again, don't worry about the sound. That will eventually work. That issue will work itself out. And it's booting up. And if you look carefully, the desktop is a different color. Before, it was a aqua greenish color, like ocean green at the Caribbean, maybe. Now it is a blue, like a deep sky blue, and that's what it should be. The reason that we weren't getting this before is because the correct video drivers and things were not installed for Windows 2000. And VirtualBox gives you that guest editions CD so that it can install the necessary drivers that it needs for your Windows 2000 to work smoothly. So now we're going to go to Devices, Optical Drives, Remove Disk from Virtual Drive, because the guest edition CD was in the drive. So we just removed that. So now we can go to my computer and we can see now that the drive is empty, the disk drive. And now we have a Windows 2000 operating system, a computer that's up and running. And so you can see that here. So this is kind of like an operating system running inside of my operating system that I have on this laptop, which I'm running Windows 10. So now I have like a Windows 2000 computer running in Windows 10. And there are some reasons that you would do this. Obviously, you probably need it for this class, and that's the reason that you're watching this video. But even for your own use, there's some people that like some legacy, some games that came out years ago, and those games may not run in Windows 10 or even Windows 7 or Windows 8. Then you may have to have an older operating system to run those games. So this is what a lot of people do that have games that are only compatible with older operating systems. There are many, many other reasons that you would need virtual machines. And a lot of people in the professional world use virtual machines to test software that they're writing or websites that they're building or networking technologies that they're dealing with, because they can create multiple virtual machines and run them simultaneously and have them network together. So again, lots of reasons to have VirtualBox running a virtual machine. So depending on what you're doing, whether Windows 2000 would be sufficient as your operating system. But you can install just about any operating system in that same manner that we just did. You can see that I had already installed Windows 2000. I also have Windows 10 installed as a virtual machine. And then we just did this copy of Windows 2000, which currently doesn't have anything installed. Now I can proceed to install software if I needed to inside of this virtual machine. And so I'll have a video on that if that's something you need to know how to do for the class. But in this video, as a recap, we already had a working VirtualBox. And so we created our very first virtual machine, or we created a virtual machine, and this virtual machine is running the Windows 2000 professional operating system. And so now we have that up and running. So now I'm going to click Start, Shut Down, and that computer will turn off. That window will go away. And now you can see that that particular Windows 2000 is powered off. So that is a tutorial on how to install probably your first virtual machine into a VirtualBox. And I am going to close this scratch pad. Don't need it anymore. And at this point, we can close out VirtualBox if we wanted to. All right, so I'll have some follow-up videos for other topics related to VirtualBox. So if you need those, check those out. Thank you.